The soft hues of dusk settled over the small town of Maple Ridge, a quiet American community nestled at the edge of a vast, ancient forest. In a modest house on Elm Street, 11-year-old Emily sat quietly on the front porch, watching as the last rays of sunlight dipped below the horizon. At her side lay Sunny, her gentle golden retriever, whose loyalty had filled Emily's life with warmth through both moments of joy and deep sorrow. For years, Sunny had been more than just a pet. He was a steadfast friend who had seen Emily through scraped knees, lonely nights, and even the loss of her father a few years back. This evening, however, the silence was profound. Sunny lay motionless on the porch, his breathing shallow and his eyes closed in a peaceful, yet lifeless repose. Emily's soft voice broke the stillness as she pleaded, "Sunny, please, wake up. Don't leave me now." In that fragile moment, the cool evening air carried a whisper of hope, a mysterious promise that defied logic. As if stirred by her heartfelt plea, a subtle golden radiance began to emanate from Sunny's still form. The glow was neither harsh nor overpowering. It was gentle, pulsing in harmony with the faint beat of life that seemed to reside deep within him. With each passing second, the warm light grew stronger, enveloping both Emily and Sunny, transforming the ordinary porch into a scene of quiet wonder. Time appeared to slow. Every whisper of the wind and every rustle of the leaves was magnified into a symphony of nature's secrets. And then, almost imperceptibly, Sunny's chest began to rise, a small, hopeful movement that set Emily's heart racing. Slowly, his eyes fluttered open, revealing a spark of life that had been absent just moments before. "Sunny, you're back," Emily murmured, her voice a mixture of relief and disbelief. Although Sunny appeared weak and unsteady, there was a renewed alertness in his gaze, a hint that something extraordinary had just occurred. Later that evening, Emily's mother, Karen, found her daughter sitting silently beside the revived Sunny. Karen's face, etched with worry, softened as she gently brushed a tear from Emily's cheek. As Karen listened to Emily recount the miraculous event, the mysterious golden light, the hushed melody of the evening, and the almost magical stirring of life in Sunny, both mother and daughter sensed that the day's events were only the beginning of a deeper mystery. As the night deepened and stars began to shimmer overhead, Emily lay awake with questions swirling in her mind. What had breathed life back into Sunny? Was it the ancient magic whispered about in Maple Ridge's long-held legends? Or perhaps a sign that the universe was reaching out to mend broken hearts? With every unanswered question came a quiet resolve. The truth lay hidden in the vast, mysterious forest beyond, and Emily was determined to uncover it. The following morning, over a simple breakfast, Emily's best friend Jason joined her. With a keen curiosity and the same determination that shone in Emily's eyes, he listened intently as she described the inexplicable events of the previous night. Their shared wonder was palpable. The miraculous revival of Sunny was a mystery that beckoned them into the heart of the ancient forest, a place rumored to harbor secrets as old as time. The morning after the miraculous revival of Sunny had dawned with an uncanny stillness in Maple Ridge. The remnants of twilight gave way to a crisp, dewy sunrise that seemed to herald the beginning of something both wondrous and foreboding. As the day broke, Emily and her best friend Jason found themselves unable to shake the memory of that golden radiance and the unspoken promise it held. For weeks now, the mysterious glow that had revived Sunny had stirred in Emily a yearning for answers, a need to understand the forces that interlaced nature and magic so intricately. The following paragraphs recount the unfolding of events as our two young adventurers, armed with youthful determination and cautious hope, set out to uncover the secret behind the miraculous event. Emily awoke before sunrise, her heart heavy, with questions and her mind swirling with the images of the previous night. Although Karen, her mother, had expressed concern, Emily could not help but feel that the miraculous revival of Sunny was not merely a singular occurrence, but the opening note of an ancient symphony. The legends whispered in hushed tones among the town's older residents spoke of a magic that lay dormant in the forest, a magic that could be awakened by the purity of a heart in mourning, or the courage of one who dared to hope. In the quiet of the early morning, as the first beams of sunlight filtered through the lace curtains of her bedroom window, Emily resolved that she would seek the answers herself. With a careful glance at the still sleeping figure of Sunny, who rested peacefully at the foot of her bed, she felt the subtle tug of destiny. It was as though the miracle had left an indelible mark on her soul, urging her to step beyond the familiar boundaries of Maple Ridge. Before the day truly began, she met Jason at the edge of the property, a familiar, welcoming presence who had been her confidant through many adventures. Jason, with his earnest blue eyes and ever-curious smile, listened intently as Emily recounted every detail of the previous night, from the desperate whisper for Sunny to awaken, to the brilliant surge of golden light that enveloped them both. "Emily," Jason said softly as they walked side by side toward the wooded area bordering the town, "I believe this is just the beginning. There's something deep within those trees, something waiting for us to find it." Their conversation was punctuated by the gentle patter of their footsteps on the dew-laden grass and the distant murmur of the town waking up. With every step, their excitement mingled with apprehension, for the forest was not only a repository of nature's beauty, but also a keeper of secrets long buried in its ancient soil. As they reached the forest's edge, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. The open fields of Maple Ridge gave way to a dense canopy of towering oak and pine trees that created a mosaic of shadows and light on the forest floor. The air was cool and fragrant with the scent of pine needles and damp earth. A gentle breeze rustled the leaves, as if whispering words in a language older than time. Emily paused at the threshold, her hand resting on the rough bark of an old oak tree. The memory of Sunny's revival surged in her mind, the warmth of the golden light, the gentle hum that seemed to vibrate with life. Taking a deep breath, she stepped forward into the forest, Jason close behind her. Their journey into the heart of the unknown had begun. The forest seemed to welcome them with a mix of curiosity and caution. Every rustle, every bird call, and every distant creak of branches appeared to carry hidden meaning. The path was not clearly defined. It meandered through ferns and clusters of wildflowers, inviting the explorers to choose their own direction. Though neither had been here before, an unspoken intuition guided their steps, as if an unseen force was gently directing them toward the source of the ancient magic. As they advanced deeper, the familiar sounds of the town faded away, replaced by the quiet symphony of the wild. The narrator's voice, steady and reflective, explains that the forest was said to be a place where time itself slowed down, where the veil between the ordinary and the extraordinary grew thin. Here, every step was a dance with destiny, and every breath was filled with the promise of revelation. The deeper they ventured, the more the forest revealed its mystique. Shafts of golden sunlight pierced through the canopy in sporadic bursts, illuminating clusters of dust motes that danced in the air. The ground was soft underfoot, a patchwork of moss and fallen leaves that muffled their footsteps. Emily's heart pounded with a mixture of excitement and trepidation, for she felt that every moment in this place was charged with possibility. In a small clearing, the two friends stumbled upon an ancient stone archway, half hidden by creeping ivy and ferns. Its surface was etched with symbols and runes that neither had seen before, cryptic markings that hinted at a forgotten language and a long-lost history. The archway served as a silent sentinel to the mysteries that lay ahead, an invitation to traverse further into the forest's depths. "Look at this, Jason," Emily whispered, running her fingers over the weathered carvings. "It's as if this place has been waiting for us." Jason examined the runes closely, his brow furrowed in concentration. "These symbols, I've read about something similar in an old book at the library. They say that such markings belong to an ancient civilization that believed in the healing power of nature and the existence of a guiding light that could restore life." Their conversation was interrupted by the soft padding of paws. Sunny, who had been quietly trotting alongside them since they left home, suddenly paused and tilted his head as if listening to a sound beyond human hearing. His ears perked up, and a low, almost imperceptible growl escaped him. Emily's heart skipped a beat as she crouched beside him, gently stroking his golden fur. The dog's eyes shone with an intensity that mirrored the ancient power of the forest, a silent acknowledgement of the wonders that lay ahead. Emily and Jason soon found themselves at the bank of a small, babbling brook. The water, crystal clear and cool, meandered through the forest like a silver thread weaving through a tapestry of green. They knelt by the stream, and as they cupped their hands to take a drink, the water seemed to ripple with a hidden energy, as though it too were alive with purpose. A young man, perhaps no older than their own age but bearing an air of wisdom beyond his years, emerged from behind a thicket. His name was Daniel, a local resident whose family had long been guardians of the forest's lore. Daniel's dark hair framed a face marked by both kindness and a quiet determination, and his eyes sparkled with the light of secrets well kept. "Hi there," Daniel said with a gentle smile that seemed to hold both welcome and warning. "I've been expecting you." His voice was calm, and the way he spoke suggested that he had heard of the recent events that had stirred the hearts of Maple Ridge's youth. Emily and Jason exchanged astonished glances. How could this stranger know of their journey? The narrator explains that Daniel was a bridge between the old legends and the new generation, a keeper of tales passed down through the years, and a guardian of the mystical realms that lay hidden. From ordinary sight, Daniel motioned for them to follow him deeper into the forest. "There is much you need to learn," he said quietly. "The magic that revived Sunny is only the beginning. The forest has chosen you, and with it comes a responsibility to discover the truth behind the golden light." Under Daniel's guidance, the trio made their way along a winding path that led to a clearing surrounded by ancient trees. Here, the forest opened up into a natural amphitheater, where the interplay of light and shadow created an almost sacred atmosphere. In the center of the clearing stood a stone pedestal adorned with intricate carvings and symbols that pulsed faintly with a rhythmic glow. Daniel explained, "This is the Heartstone. It is said to be the source of the forest's energy, a relic of an age when the balance between life and magic was revered. The golden light you witnessed on Sunny is connected to this stone. It is a beacon of hope, a sign that the ancient magic is stirring once more." Emily approached the Heartstone with a mixture of reverence and curiosity. As she placed her hand upon its cool, smooth surface, she felt a surge of energy ripple through her, as if the stone were speaking to her in a language of light. In that instant, images flashed before her eyes. Visions of a time when the forest was alive with magic, of a civilization that thrived on harmony with nature, and of a great power that could heal even the deepest wounds. Jason, standing nearby, marveled at the sight. "It feels like the stone is alive," he whispered. "I can almost hear its heartbeat." The narrator confirms that this sensation was not a mere illusion, but a tangible connection to an ancient force that resonated with every living being in the forest. As the afternoon wore on, Daniel shared more of the lore of Maple Ridge. He spoke of legends that told of a guardian spirit, a luminous being known only as the Golden Sentinel, whose purpose was to protect the balance of life. According to these ancient tales, the Golden Sentinel would appear in times of great need, bestowing gifts of healing and renewal upon those pure of heart. Emily couldn't help but wonder if Sunny's revival was a manifestation of this very legend. The conversation turned to the symbolism of the golden light. Daniel explained that gold, throughout history, was revered not only for its beauty, but also for its representation of the divine and the eternal. It is, softly, that the golden light signifies the union of the earthly and the celestial. It is a promise that even in the face of loss, hope can be reborn. With the setting sun beginning its descent, the trio decided to rest in a small clearing near the Heartstone. As twilight descended, the golden hue of the day merged with the cool blues and purples of evening. The ambiance was filled with a serene magic that rendered the forest almost otherworldly. Emily found herself entranced by the interplay of light and shadow, the memories of the day's discoveries mingling with a quiet anticipation of what lay ahead. She recalled the miraculous moment when Sunny had been revived, a moment that now seemed intrinsically linked to the ancient energy of the forest. The narrator reminds us that such connections are not mere coincidences. They are the threads that bind the present to the past, weaving a tapestry of destiny that transcends time. Jason, ever the inquisitive mind, began to speculate about the nature of the Heartstone. "Do you think it can tell us more?" he asked, his eyes reflecting both wonder and a thirst for knowledge. "Maybe it holds the key to understanding, not just what happened to Sunny, but also the deeper secrets of this forest." Daniel nodded solemnly. "The Heartstone is a relic of a bygone era," he said. "It carries the wisdom of our ancestors, a wisdom that has been passed down through generations in the form of stories and legends. But the true magic lies in its ability to connect us to the spirit of the forest, a spirit that is as ancient as the trees themselves." As darkness enveloped the clearing, the stars began to twinkle in the sky like scattered diamonds. The gentle murmur of the forest seemed to intensify, as if nature itself was whispering its secrets to those willing to listen. In that stillness, Emily felt an inexplicable sense of unity with the world around her, a merging of past and present, of myth and reality. That night, as the trio settled down for rest beneath the protective boughs of a great oak, Emily's dreams were filled with vivid images of light and shadow, of dancing figures and ancient symbols. In her slumber, she witnessed the resurgence of the Golden Sentinel, a luminous presence that moved gracefully among the trees, its eyes filled with compassion and ancient wisdom. Though she could not grasp the full meaning of these visions, one thing was clear: her journey was only just beginning, and the mysteries of Maple Ridge were far deeper than she had ever imagined. The next morning, with the first rays of light filtering through the treetops, the group stirred and prepared to continue their expedition. Daniel had mentioned that there were other sacred sites within the forest, each holding a piece of the puzzle that would reveal the full scope of the ancient magic. Among these sites was a long-forgotten grove known as the Whispering Glade, where the wind was said to carry messages from the past. As they packed a small supply of provisions and water, Emily's mind raced with the implications of what they had seen. The vision of the Golden Sentinel and the enigmatic power of the Heartstone had ignited within her a determination that was both exhilarating and daunting. The forest, with its winding paths and hidden clearings, was a labyrinth of mysteries, and they were its chosen explorers. Their journey through the forest took them along narrow, winding trails bordered by ancient ferns and moss-covered logs. The canopy overhead filtered the sunlight into ethereal patterns that danced upon the forest floor. At times, the path was so narrow that only one could pass at a time, and the sound of their footsteps seemed to echo in the silence, a reminder that they were trespassers in a realm that had witnessed countless generations. In the midst of their trek, the group encountered signs of both natural wonder and hidden danger. Unusual markings appeared on trees, strange symbols that glowed faintly as if infused with the very essence of the forest. Occasionally, a rustling in the undergrowth would alert them to the presence of unseen creatures. Yet, despite these unsettling encounters, a sense of calm perseverance prevailed. The narrator observes that every challenge was part of the journey, a necessary trial to prove their worthiness in the eyes of the ancient magic. As they approached the Whispering Glade, the east forest seemed to shift, its energy growing more palpable. The glade was a circular clearing surrounded by a ring of ancient oak trees, their limbs intertwined to form a natural cathedral. Here, the wind sang a soft, haunting melody, carrying with it echoes of voices long past. Emily closed her eyes and listened, feeling as though the glade was trying to communicate with her. A message encoded in the language of nature itself. Daniel explained, "This glade has been a place of communion for many generations. It is said that those who listen carefully can hear the voices of the ancestors, guiding them on their path. The wind here is like a living memory, and it holds within it the wisdom of the ages." In that moment, as a gentle breeze stirred the leaves overhead, Emily experienced a sensation of being both infinitesimally small and yet connected to something vast and eternal. It was as if the forest had embraced her, inviting her to become a part of its timeless story. Jason, standing beside her, whispered, "I feel like we're on the cusp of something monumental, like the forest is about to reveal its greatest secret." The narrator's voice grows reflective, explaining that the forest was a realm of contradictions, a place where beauty and peril danced in delicate balance. The very air was charged with an energy that could heal wounds and yet expose vulnerabilities. It was a reminder that nature, in all its splendor, was also a force that could be both nurturing and unforgiving. As the day wore on, the group found a comfortable spot in the heart of the Whispering Glade. They spread out a faded quilt upon the soft grass, and Daniel produced a weathered journal filled with handwritten notes and sketches. The journal, passed down through his family for generations, contained accounts of encounters with the forest's magic, stories of miraculous healings, mysterious visions, and even instances of the golden light reappearing during moments of profound loss. Daniel began to read aloud from the journal, his voice soft and deliberate. "In the year of our forefathers, when the land was young and the forest was unspoiled, there came a time when the people sought solace in the embrace of nature. They believed that the golden light was a gift from the gods, a promise that even in the face of despair, there existed a path to renewal. His words carried an air of reverence, and as he spoke, Emily felt a stirring deep within her, a resonance that echoed the miracles she had witnessed. The journal recounted the tale of a healer named Abigail, whose gentle touch and unwavering faith had once mended broken hearts and cured ailments that modern medicine could not explain. It told of how the golden light had shone upon her in moments of crisis, guiding her to acts of kindness and courage. As Daniel read, Emily's imagination painted vivid scenes of a bygone era, a time when every sunrise was a promise and every whisper of the wind held a secret. The glade itself seemed to listen, its quiet presence amplifying every word. Even Sonny, who lay close by with his eyes half closed in contentment, appeared to be in tune with the ancient cadence of the place. The group sat in silent awe as the fading light of day mingled with the soft luminescence of the glade, creating an atmosphere that transcended ordinary experience. After the reading, Daniel closed the journal and looked each of them in the eyes. "There is one more truth I must share," he said, his tone measured and somber. "The magic that resides in these woods is not without its guardians, and not all of them are benevolent. There are forces that seek to upset the balance, to snuff out the light of hope. We must be vigilant, for the journey ahead may reveal challenges that will test our resolve in ways we cannot yet fathom." Emily felt a chill run down her spine, not from fear, but from the gravity of Daniel's words. She realized that their quest was not merely one of discovery, but of protection, a mission to safeguard the ancient magic that could heal and transform lives. The responsibility weighed heavily upon her, yet it also filled her with an unyielding determination to see the mystery through to its end. That evening, as darkness reclaimed the forest and the stars emerged one by one, Emily found herself unable to sleep. Restless and contemplative, she wandered back to the whispering glade, drawn by an inexplicable force. The cool night air was filled with the hushed whispers of the wind, and every rustle in the undergrowth seemed to carry an ancient incantation. Seated beneath a sprawling oak, Emily closed her eyes and let her thoughts drift. In the quiet solitude of the glade, she experienced a vision, a cascade of images that flowed like a river through her mind. She saw a luminous figure, the Golden Sentinel, emerging from the depths of the forest. Its eyes glowed with a benevolent radiance, and in its presence, the pain of loss and the fear of the unknown were transformed into a gentle, healing warmth. In her vision, the Golden Sentinel extended a graceful hand toward Emily, as if inviting her to partake in the eternal dance of nature's miracles. The vision was both overwhelming and soothing, a reminder that even in the darkest moments, there existed a light that could guide and heal. When Emily finally opened her eyes, the glade was bathed in the soft glow of moonlight, and for a moment, she felt as though the boundaries between dreams and reality had blurred. The next morning, as the first light of dawn touched the treetops, with a gentle glow, Emily, Jason, and Daniel prepared to continue their journey. The experience at the Whispering Glade had left an indelible mark on their spirits, strengthening their resolve to uncover the secrets that lay hidden within the forest's depths. Before parting ways for a brief rest at a secluded woodland cabin, a place Daniel identified as a safe haven in times of need, the trio reviewed the insights gleaned from the Heartstone and the journal. They made plans to seek out other relics scattered throughout the forest. A sunken altar near a cascading waterfall, a grove of ancient cedars rumored to be a meeting place for the forest spirit, and even a hidden cavern where the echoes of the past might reveal lost knowledge. As they journeyed onward, the narrator reflects on the transformative power of their quest. Each step taken into the forest was a step into the unknown, yet with every challenge they faced, the bonds between them grew stronger. The golden light that had once revived Sonny was now a beacon that illuminated not only the path ahead, but also the potential within each of them to bring healing and change. Their path led them through narrow trails winding along rocky ridges and across sun-dappled meadows. The forest was alive with sounds, birds calling to one another, the gentle babble of distant streams, and the occasional rustle of creatures unseen. Even the wind, playful and mysterious, seemed to conspire with the ancient magic, carrying with it scents of wildflowers and hints of forgotten lore. Along the way, they encountered other residents of Maple Ridge, each with their own stories about the mysterious happenings in the forest. An elderly woman named Margaret recounted how, in her youth, she had seen the golden light flicker among the trees on the night of a great storm. A local farmer, Tom, spoke in hushed tones about strange happenings on his land. Animals that were inexplicably drawn to certain groves and crops that flourished in barren soil. Each account reinforced the idea that the forest was a living entity, capable of bestowing both wonder and warning. In a particularly poignant moment, while resting near a gentle brook, Jason confided his inner doubts. "Sometimes I wonder if we're meddling with forces beyond our understanding," he said quietly, gazing into the reflective water. "But then I remember that every great discovery comes with a measure of risk. If we're meant to find the truth, we have to trust that the forest will guide us." Emily reached out and squeezed his hand, and the unspoken promise of solidarity passed between them. As the day gave way to the golden hues of late afternoon, the trio arrived at the foot of a great waterfall, a cascading torrent of water that plunged into a crystal-clear pool below. The roar of the falls was both majestic and intimidating, a powerful reminder of nature's untamed energy. Daniel explained that this site, known locally as the Fountain of Renewal, was one of the sacred elements of the forest. Here, the ancient text said, the cycle of life and death was continuously renewed through the pure, unyielding force of water. The area around the waterfall was lush with ferns and flowering shrubs, and the air was thick with the mist of evaporated water. As they approached the pool, the sunlight broke through the canopy in a dazzling display of refracted colors. Emily could feel the vitality of the water seeping into her skin, a tangible reminder that life was not easily extinguished. It was, in fact, perpetually reborn. Daniel knelt by the edge of the pool and dipped his hand into the cool, clear water. "This water has a memory," he said. "It carries the echoes of every prayer, every hope, and every promise that has ever been whispered to it." He scooped a handful of water and let it trickle slowly through his fingers. In its flow, we may find clues about the past, and perhaps even hints of what the future holds. Emily and Jason exchanged thoughtful looks. It was as though each element of nature, earth, water, air, and light, was coming together to tell a story older than time. Their journey was not just about solving a mystery. It was about reconnecting with a world that had been forgotten by those who hurried past in modern life. As the sun began to set, painting the sky with a riot of colors, the trio set up camp near the waterfall. Under a star-flecked sky, they gathered around a small, crackling fire. The narrator notes that in these moments of quiet reflection, the magic of the forest was most palpable. The warmth of the fire contrasted with the cool night air, and the gentle sound of the waterfall provided a constant lullaby to accompany their thoughts. In the flickering light, Daniel shared more of his family's legacy, a story of ancestors who had served as the stewards of the forest, ensuring that the balance between man and nature was preserved. He spoke of a time when the Golden Sentinel had been more than a myth, a living presence that had walked among them and healed both body and spirit. The memory of that time was a source of inspiration, and though the days had passed into legend, its echoes were still heard in every rustle of the leaves. Emily listened intently, her mind alive with visions of the past and dreams of what might yet be. "Do you think the Golden Sentinel will come for us too?" she asked softly. Jason, ever pragmatic yet touched by the wonder of it all, replied, "I believe it's not about waiting for a sign. It's about recognizing the signs that are already here, in the light, in the water, in the very heart of the forest." The night deepened, and as they lay beneath the canvas of stars, each of them felt a profound sense of connection to the forest, to each other, and to a history that was both personal and universal. The journey had taken them far beyond the familiar streets of Maple Ridge, into a realm where every element of nature pulsed with ancient wisdom, and every whisper of the wind carried the promise of renewal. When the first hints of dawn tinged the horizon with soft lavender and blush, the camp stirred with a quiet energy. The previous night's reflections had left an impression on each of them, a realization that their quest was as much about understanding themselves as it was about uncovering the mysteries of the forest. Gathering their meager belongings, they prepared to move on to the next sacred site, a hidden cavern that, according to legend, held within its depths a record of the forest's ancient history. The entrance to the cavern was rumored to be concealed behind a waterfall in a secluded part of the woods, accessible only to those who were deemed worthy by the forest itself. The journey to this new destination was arduous, with steep inclines and narrow passages that required careful navigation. At one point, a sudden downpour transformed the path into a slick, treacherous slope. Yet the challenges only served to deepen their resolve. The narrator reminds us that nature tests those who seek its secrets, and each hardship was a stepping stone toward greater understanding. In the midst of the rain, as droplets danced on leaves and pooled on mossy rocks, Emily thought of Sunny, the loyal golden retriever who had been the spark for this entire journey. The memory of his miraculous revival filled her with renewed determination. She knew that just as Sunny had been given a second chance at life, so too were they granted the opportunity to mend the fractures of a world that had forgotten the ancient ties between humanity and nature. Finally, after hours of trekking through rain-soaked undergrowth, they reached a secluded waterfall where the roar of water masked all other sounds. Behind the curtain of falling water, they discovered a narrow passage that led into a dimly lit cavern. With hearts pounding and hands trembling with anticipation, they stepped into the darkness. Inside, the cavern walls were adorned with ancient petroglyphs and symbols that glowed faintly in the sparse light. The air was cool and carried a scent of earth and timelessness. The cavern, it seemed, was a silent repository of memories, a chronicle written in stone by those who had long vanished. Daniel led the way, his eyes adjusting to the low light as he carefully traced the carvings with his fingers. "Each symbol here tells a story," Daniel murmured. "This one represents the unity of life and the eternal cycle of renewal. And here, this ancient inscription speaks of a great calamity, a time when the balance was nearly broken, only to be restored by the guiding light of the Golden Sentinel." Emily felt as though she were standing on the precipice of history. The cavern exuded a powerful energy, as if it were a living record of all that had transpired within these woods. She leaned in to examine a series of symbols that depicted figures in a ritual, their arms raised toward a radiant source of light. The images stirred a deep emotional response, a blend of awe, reverence, and an unspoken promise of hope. Time seemed suspended in the cavern. The trio sat for a long while, absorbing the silent testimony of the past. The narrator reflects that in such moments, one can almost feel the pulse of the earth, a reminder that every living being was a part of a grand, interconnected tapestry. Tapestry woven with threads of light, hope, and renewal. After what felt like an eternity in the cavern, Daniel suggested they record their impressions in a new journal, one that would chronicle their discoveries and serve as a guide for future generations. With careful precision, he began to sketch the petroglyphs and note the stories they evoked. Emily and Jason assisted, each contributing their own insights and interpretations of the ancient symbols. In the dim glow of the cavern, the light from a small lantern flickered over their work, casting dancing shadows that merged with the carvings on the walls. It was a moment of quiet collaboration, a merging of past and present as they sought to understand the language of the ancients. The journal's pages filled slowly with drawings and cryptic notes, each line a testament to the wonder and mystery that enveloped them. As they prepared to leave the cavern, the trio emerged back into the gentle light of dusk. The rain had ceased, and the forest now shimmered with the soft radiance of twilight. They paused at the entrance, taking one last look at the hidden world they had just experienced. Emily's heart was heavy with a mixture of sorrow at leaving behind the secrets of the past, and hope that they had uncovered a truth that would forever change the way she saw the world. Daniel spoke with quiet conviction as they set off again. "We are all connected by the stories of this forest," he said. "Every step we take, every symbol we decipher, brings us closer to understanding the great tapestry of life. And in that tapestry, the golden light is not just a beacon. It is a promise that hope, no matter how fragile, can always be rekindled." By the time the group finally retraced their steps back toward Maple Ridge, night had fallen completely, and the stars shone brightly overhead. The journey had left its mark on each of them, a quiet determination, an ever-deepening respect for the mysteries of the natural world, and an unwavering belief that every ending heralds a new beginning. Emily, Jason, and Daniel parted ways at the outskirts of the forest, each carrying the legacy of the ancient magic within their hearts. As Emily walked home beneath the starry sky, the gentle rustle of leaves and the distant murmur of the forest served as constant reminders of the profound experiences of the day. Sonny trotted faithfully by her side, his golden coat catching the faint light, a living symbol of the miracles that had transformed their lives. At home, Karen greeted Emily with a mixture of relief and quiet concern, unaware of the vast tapestry of secrets that her daughter had begun to unravel. Yet in Emily's eyes shone a light, a spark of wisdom and wonder that belied her young age. The narrator explains that this light was not merely the reflection of the golden glow that had revived Sonny, but a deeper, more enduring brilliance that emerged from embracing the mysteries of life. In the days that followed, Emily began to document her journey in a personal journal, recounting every detail with careful precision. Her writings were filled with reflections on the ancient symbols, the gentle guidance of Daniel, and the unyielding support of Jason. Every entry was a testament to the transformative power of the forest, a reminder that even in a world that often seemed mundane, magic was real, vibrant, and always within reach. The forest, now an endless tapestry of secrets and shimmering memories, welcomed the trio as they pressed deeper into its heart. Emily's determination had only grown since their last encounter in the hidden cavern. With the first blush of dawn still lingering in the misty air, she led the way along a narrow, winding path that seemed to have been shaped by time itself. Jason walked beside her, his steady presence offering reassurance, while Daniel trailed slightly behind, absorbed in thought as he mentally reviewed the ancient lore he had so painstakingly studied over years of family tradition. Sonny, the golden retriever, padded faithfully at their side. His once revived vigor had transformed him into a quiet guardian whose amber eyes shone with an almost knowing light. Every so often he would pause, sniff the air, and give a low, reassuring bark as if to urge his human companions onward. The narrator explains that the dog was more than a pet. He was a living symbol of the miracle that had brought hope back into their lives, a beacon of renewal that resonated with the very soul of the forest. Their path soon led them to an ancient footbridge made of weathered timber, spanning a gently murmuring creek. The water below glistened with reflections of a bygone era, and on its banks grew wildflowers whose delicate petals seemed to be painted with the colors of the sunrise. As they crossed, the wooden planks creaked underfoot, a reminder that every step was a connection to the past, a living memory of those who had once walked these very grounds. On the other side of the bridge, the forest thickened, the trees standing, as silent sentinels guarding secrets too profound for casual inquiry. The air was heavy with the scent of pine and earth, and in the distance, a soft, almost imperceptible chanting could be heard. It was as though the very soul of the forest was speaking in a language older than words, inviting them to listen, to remember, and to rediscover a lost heritage. As the trio moved further into the heart of the forest, they arrived at a clearing where the light played upon a circle of massive stones arranged in an almost deliberate pattern. These megaliths, moss-covered and weathered by centuries, formed an amphitheater in the open. The stones bore carvings of unfamiliar symbols and figures, depictions of people in ceremonial garb, their arms raised in supplication or celebration. The narrator notes that this was no ordinary clearing but the site of an ancient ceremony, a place where the people of old had gathered to honor the balance between life and the unseen forces that governed the natural world. Daniel's eyes widened as he recognized a pattern in the carvings. "This is the circle of remembrance," he murmured. "It is said that here, our ancestors performed rites to invoke the blessing of the Golden Sentinel, the divine presence that once walked among us and healed the wounds of both body and spirit." Emily stepped forward, her fingers lightly brushing the cool surface of one of the stones. In that touch, she felt a current of energy, a pulse of remembrance that vibrated through her very being. The stone seemed to whisper echoes of ancient chants, of ceremonies held under the same golden light that had revived Sonny. As if in response, the wind shifted, carrying with it faint voices that blended seamlessly with the rustling leaves. In that moment, the boundaries between past and present blurred, and the clearing was transformed into a sacred space where memories long buried surged forth in a wave of luminescence. Jason, standing close by, added in a hushed tone, "It's as if we're being invited to partake in a ritual, a reminder that the magic of the forest flows through all of us, binding our stories with those of our ancestors." The narrator reflects that the circle of remembrance was more than a relic. It was a living archive of hope and sorrow, of joy and loss, waiting to be reawakened in hearts open to its call. Before they could explore further, a figure emerged from the shadows at the edge of the clearing. Clad in worn, earth-toned garments and carrying a carved staff that glowed faintly with an inner light, the mysterious newcomer approached with measured steps. His silver hair and weathered face bore the marks of time and hardship, and his eyes, deep and contemplative, seemed to hold the weight of innumerable stories. "I am Marcus," he introduced himself in a gentle yet resonant voice that carried the cadence of ancient wisdom. "For decades, I have served as the keeper of these lost memories. I tend to the sacred places of the forest, where the past is not forgotten, but lives on in every stone and every whisper of the wind." Daniel, visibly moved by the sight of Marcus, stepped forward. "We seek to understand the miracle that revived Sunny and the deep magic of this forest. We believe that the answers lie in the history written on these stones and in the voices of those who came before us." Marcus nodded, his eyes reflecting both sorrow and hope. "Indeed, the golden light that graced your companion is a fragment of a greater power, a power that once united our people with the very essence of nature. Long ago, our ancestors forged a covenant with the forces of the earth, promising to honor and protect the balance of life. But with time, that covenant was forgotten, and the magic that sustained us began to fade." He gestured toward the circle of remembrance. "These stones, the carvings upon them, and the energy you feel are remnants of that sacred bond. The ceremony once performed here was not just a ritual, it was a celebration of life, a promise to renew the world even in its darkest moments. Now the forest has chosen you to rekindle that ancient pact, to awaken the past and restore what was lost." Emily felt a shiver run down her spine as Marcus spoke. The weight of his words settled upon her like a mantle of destiny. "What must we do?" she asked softly, her voice filled with both trepidation and resolve. Marcus's gaze softened as he replied, "The first step is remembrance. You must learn the old songs, the rituals that once honored the balance between light and shadow. Only then can you call forth the Golden Sentinel, the guardian whose spirit is the living embodiment of hope and renewal." Under Marcus's careful guidance, the group settled in the clearing as the day gradually waned into evening. Around a small, crackling fire, Marcus began to recount the ancient lore of his people, a narrative woven with the threads of myth and memory. His words were deliberate and measured, each sentence laden with the gravity of long-cherished truths. He spoke of a time when the land was vibrant with magic, when every sunrise was a blessing and every twilight a promise. "Our ancestors believed," Marcus intoned, "that the forest was not merely a collection of trees and streams, but a living, breathing entity, a guardian of our hopes, our dreams, and our very existence. They understood that the golden light which you have witnessed was not a fleeting miracle, but the very essence of life reborn." As the firelight danced, upon their faces, Marcus taught them the ancient hymns and incantations that had been passed down through countless generations. Emily listened with rapt attention, committing every word to memory, for she sensed that these lessons were the keys to unlocking the mysteries of the forest. Jason, ever the inquisitive one, scribbled notes and sketches in a small leather-bound journal, determined to capture every detail of the forgotten lore. The night deepened, and as the stars emerged in the velvet sky, Marcus's voice took on an almost hypnotic quality. "Listen to the song of the night," he said softly, "and you will hear the voices of those who came before us, the echoes of hope that refuse to be silenced. They are calling you to remember, to honor the covenant of old, and to embrace the golden light as your guide." In that sacred moment, the clearing transformed into a sanctuary of memory, where the past reached out to the present with gentle, insistent hands. Sonny lay close by, his head resting on his paws, as though he too was absorbing the ancient wisdom. The dog's eyes, now more soulful than ever, glowed with an inner fire that mirrored the promise of renewal. The narrator notes that in the presence of such profound magic, even the smallest creature became a vessel for the enduring spirit of the land. As dawn broke the following day, a palpable tension hung in the air. The lessons of the previous night had awakened within Emily a deep sense of purpose, but they had also stirred uncertainties. The forest, with all its beauty and mystery, concealed dangers that were as real as the ancient magic itself. While the group gathered their belongings and prepared to leave the circle of remembrance, a sudden chill swept through the clearing. The wind, once gentle and nurturing, now carried with it an undercurrent of foreboding. Emily's heart raced as she sensed that not all forces in the forest were aligned with hope. In the distance, dark shapes moved between the trees, a subtle, menacing presence that seemed to watch their every step. Jason, ever alert, whispered, "Do you feel that? There's something out there, something that doesn't want us to proceed." Marcus's face darkened as he surveyed the shifting shadows. "The balance is delicate," he cautioned. "For every spark of light, there is a shadow that seeks to consume it. Our ancestors believed that in moments of great change, dark forces awaken, testing the resolve of those who dare to rekindle the old magic." Determined not to be swayed by fear, Emily squared her shoulders. "We must continue," she declared. "If the forest has chosen us, then we must be ready to face whatever challenges lie ahead." The narrator reminds us that courage is born from the willingness to confront the unknown, and in that moment, the young adventurers resolved to press on despite the ominous signs. Together, the group advanced deeper into the forest, their senses heightened by the knowledge that darkness lurked nearby. The path grew narrower and more treacherous, the trees crowding together as if to form a natural barrier. Every rustle of leaves and snap of a twig set their nerves on edge, and yet, the ancient hymns Marcus had taught them resonated in their minds, offering solace and strength. After hours of cautious trekking, the forest eventually opened into a glade unlike any they had seen before. Here the light was dim and the air thick with mist, as if the sun's rays were struggling to break through an impenetrable veil. The glade was bordered by towering black pines whose twisted branches clawed at the sky, and in the center lay a stagnant pool of water that reflected not the sky above, but a murky, distorted version of the world. It was in this shadowed glade that the presence they had sensed revealed itself in full measure. Figures emerged from behind the dark trees, spectral forms draped in tattered cloaks that moved with an eerie, synchronized grace. Their faces were obscured, but their eyes glowed with a cold, unyielding light. The narrator explains that these were the remnants of a long-forgotten order, guardians of a different kind of ancient power, one rooted in loss and despair rather than hope and renewal. Marcus stepped forward, his voice steady despite the palpable tension. "I warn you," he said, "the darkness here is not our enemy to be vanquished by light alone. It is a force born of neglect, of memories left to fester in the hidden corners of the heart. We must acknowledge it, understand it, and find a way to restore balance without succumbing to its despair." The spectral figures advanced slowly, their movements synchronized as if they were part of a living ritual. Emily felt a chill seep into her bones, yet she stood resolute. In that moment, the golden retriever Sonny moved to her side, his presence a reassuring contrast to the encroaching gloom. His eyes locked with hers, silently urging her to remain steadfast. Jason, clutching his journal, recalled the ancient incantations Marcus had shared. With trembling determination, he began to recite the words, a litany of hope passed down from ages past. The murmured verses echoed through the glade, resonating with a force that seemed to push back the darkness, if only slightly. The spectral guardians paused, their cold luminescence flickering as if in response to the sound of a long-lost melody. For what felt like an eternity, the glade became a battleground of unseen energies, hope wrestling with despair, light contending with shadow. The narrator reflects that the confrontation was not one of violent conflict, but of a gentle, enduring struggle for the very soul of the forest. And in that struggle, Emily discovered a deep truth, that acknowledging the darkness was essential to truly embracing the light. As the spectral figures receded slowly into the darkness, the oppressive mist began to lift, and the glade's natural beauty re-emerged. The stagnant pool shimmered, its waters now infused with a radiant glow that seemed to pulse in time with the beat of the earth. The transformation was gradual, yet undeniable, as if the glade itself were awakening from a long slumber to reclaim its rightful place in the balance of nature. At the heart of the pool, a figure emerged, a luminous silhouette that grew clearer with each passing moment. It was the Golden Sentinel, the living embodiment of the ancient covenant, whose spirit had once been invoked in times of great need. The Sentinel's form was ethereal yet unmistakably majestic, a being clad in robes woven from starlight with eyes that radiated both compassion and unwavering strength. In a voice that resonated like a chorus of ancient bells, the Golden Sentinel spoke, "You have ventured far and faced the shadows with courage and determination. Know that the golden light you seek is not a force to be wielded for personal gain, but a promise of renewal for all life." The words reverberated through the glade, their power filling every crevice of the forest with a renewed sense of purpose. Emily, overcome with awe and gratitude, stepped forward. "I understand now," she whispered. "It is not enough to push back the darkness. We must embrace all that we are, the light and the shadow, to restore balance." The Sentinel's gaze softened, and in that moment, the ancient being extended a hand toward her, inviting her to partake in a ritual that would forever bind her to the legacy of the forest. Jason and Marcus watched in silent reverence as the Golden Sentinel knelt beside the pool and began to weave an intricate pattern in the air, a dance of light and energy that told the story of a world reborn from the ashes of despair. The luminous figure's movements were fluid and deliberate, each gesture a sacred invocation of healing and unity. Sunny circled around, his tail wagging slowly as if in silent approval of the ceremony. When the ritual concluded, the Golden Sentinel rose gracefully, its form radiating a brilliant golden light that seemed to cleanse the lingering shadows of the glade. In a final resonant declaration, the Sentinel spoke, "The covenant is renewed. Let the light of hope and the memory of those who have come before guide you. You are the keepers of this sacred legacy. May you protect it, nurture it, and pass it on to future generations." With those words, the figure slowly receded into the shimmering pool, leaving behind an aura of peace and a promise of everlasting renewal. In the quiet that followed, Marcus approached Emily and placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "You have been chosen not merely by fate but by your heart," he said softly. "The lessons you have learned, the courage you have shown, they are the very essence of the old ways. Remember always that even in the darkest of times, the light endures." Emily nodded, her eyes filled with determination and newfound understanding. Jason, inspired by the events of the day, closed his journal and looked up at the breaking dawn with renewed resolve. "This is only the beginning," he murmured. "We must carry this message beyond the forest, to heal the wounds of a world that has long forgotten the beauty of balance." The narrator affirms that the bonds forged in the heart of the forest were unbreakable. Connections between past and present, between nature and humanity, and most importantly, between the hearts of those who dared to believe in the power of renewal. As the first light of morning illuminated the forest with a gentle golden glow, the group began the journey back to Maple Ridge. The path, once shrouded in uncertainty and darkness, now appeared bathed in the radiant promise of a new day. Every step was filled with quiet purpose, every breath a silent vow to honor the ancient covenant that had been rekindled. Emily walked with a lightness in her step that belied the heavy truths she had learned, while Jason and Marcus carried with them the solemn responsibility of preserving the lore of their ancestors. Sunny trotted alongside, his golden coat gleaming as a living testament to the miracle of rebirth. The forest, having shared its secrets and its sorrow, now seemed to sing with the gentle harmonies of hope. Over the days that followed, news of their journey began to spread throughout Maple Ridge. Neighbors, once indifferent to the mysteries of the woods, now listened with wide-eyed wonder to the stories of ancient ceremonies, spectral guardians, and the awakening of a power long thought lost. Emily, Jason, and Marcus became unlikely ambassadors between the old and the new, a bridge connecting the forgotten wisdom of the past with the vibrant promise of tomorrow. In quiet moments, Emily would sit by her window at home and watch as the golden light of the morning bathed the town in warmth. She thought of the circle of remembrance, the spectral glade, and the luminous presence of the golden sentinel. Each memory was a reminder that the magic of the forest was not confined to myth or legend. It was alive in every heart that believed in the enduring power of hope. A crisp autumn wind stirred the golden leaves along the quiet streets of Maple Ridge as Emily, Jason, and Marcus prepared for the next phase of their journey. The forest, now both familiar and yet ever mysterious, had revealed much in recent days. But with every revelation came new questions and unforeseen perils. Overhead, dark storm clouds gathered as if drawn by an unseen force, hinting at trials yet to come. The narrator's steady voice reminds us that nature, with its cycles of light and darkness, mirrors the eternal struggle within the human heart. The morning was unusually cool as the trio set out from the outskirts of Maple Ridge. Emily, her eyes alight with the determined glow of one who had seen miracles and borne witness to ancient secrets, led the way along a narrow dirt road that wound into the depths of the forest. Jason carried a worn leather satchel stuffed with notes, sketches, and mementos of their past discoveries, while Marcus, the seasoned keeper of lore, moved at a measured pace, his every step steeped in memories of the old ways. Sunny, the golden retriever whose coat now shimmered as if touched by an inner luminescence, trotted faithfully alongside them, his ears perked to every sound, a silent sentinel amid the brewing storm. As they journeyed deeper into the woodlands, the sky darkened and a low rumble of thunder underscored the weight of what lay ahead. The forest, with its towering pines and ancient oaks, seemed to close in around them. The narrator explains that the very air was charged with expectancy, as if the land itself was about to divulge secrets long concealed from mortal eyes. Their path led them to a secluded glen where an imposing, ivy-clad stone structure stood half-buried by time and nature. Carved with intricate symbols and runes, the building bore the unmistakable marks of an era when magic and wisdom were intertwined. Marcus identified it immediately as the Forbidden Archives, a sanctuary where the accumulated knowledge of forgotten generations was kept hidden from a world that had long lost its reverence for the ancient ways. Here lies the repository of our ancestors' wisdom, Marcus intoned softly as they approached the heavy wooden doors, their surface scarred by age and the relentless passage of time. Within these walls are records of rituals, prophecies, and the very essence of the golden light that has been our guiding force. Emily's heart pounded with anticipation. With trembling hands, she pushed open the creaking door, and the trio stepped inside. The interior was dimly lit by shafts of light, piercing through cracks in the ancient stone, revealing rows upon rows of crumbling manuscripts, scrolls, and carvings on the walls. The musty scent of aged paper and damp stone mingled with the faint aroma of incense, a lingering trace of ceremonies performed in reverence of nature's eternal magic. As they delved deeper into the archives, Marcus recited passages from an ancient text that spoke of the veiled realm, a hidden world that existed parallel to the physical, accessible only to those pure of heart and steadfast in purpose. Legends say that the veiled realm holds the key to restoring the balance, he explained. It is here that the true nature of the golden light is revealed, and where the covenant between humanity and the forces of nature can be renewed in its entirety. Emily's eyes widened as she read a passage describing a ritual to open a portal between worlds, a ceremony that required the unity of light and shadow, hope and despair. The text mentioned a celestial prism, a relic, lost to time that could harness the energy of both realms and serve as the conduit for the ancient magic. In that moment, the weight of destiny pressed upon her. It was clear that their journey was not only to understand the miracle of Sunny's revival, but to rekindle a flame that had once burned brightly in the hearts of their forebears. Deep in the heart of the archives, nestled between brittle scrolls and faded illustrations, lay a fragment of prophecy that had been whispered about for centuries. Illuminated by a beam of stray sunlight, the text recounted the legend of the celestial prism. According to the ancient writings, the prism was a crystalline artifact that shone with the pure light of the cosmos, its facets capturing the essence of life and the unyielding cycle of renewal. "It is foretold," Marcus read aloud in a hushed tone. that when the darkness threatens to swallow the light, the celestial prism will emerge from its hidden sanctuary. Only those who possess both the wisdom of the past and the courage to embrace the future can harness its power, and in doing so, restore the sacred balance. Emily felt a shiver run down her spine as she absorbed the prophecy. The notion that such an artifact existed, one that could bridge the mortal realm and the mystical, filled her with both hope and trepidation. The archives spoke of a series of trials that the chosen would need to endure, tests designed not only to measure strength and resolve but to reveal the true nature of one's soul. The celestial prism, it seemed, was not merely an object of power but a symbol of unity, a promise that even in the face of overwhelming darkness, the light could be reborn. Jason carefully transcribed the passages into his journal, his handwriting steady despite the overwhelming significance of the moment. "We have been called to something greater than ourselves," he murmured. "To mend the fractures of a world that has forgotten its ancient covenant. The prism may be the key to healing not only the forest, but all of Maple Ridge." Leaving the sanctity of the archives behind, the trio emerged into a clearing where the sky was a tumult of swirling clouds and intermittent bursts of sunlight. The forest outside seemed charged with a palpable energy, as if aware of the destiny that now lay before them. The wind carried a chorus of ancient whispers, urging them onward into the depths of the unknown. Their path now diverged from the familiar trails of Maple Ridge and led them toward a part of the forest few dared to enter. Towering trees there, trunks thick with age and wrapped in veils of mist, formed a natural barrier that marked the threshold to what Marcus had described as the Veiled Realm. It was a place where the boundaries between the seen and unseen grew thin, and where the old magic still danced in quiet defiance of modern oblivion. As they ventured deeper, the world around them transformed. The forest floor became carpeted with soft, luminescent moss, and the air shimmered with an ethereal quality. It was as though they had stepped into a dream, one where every sound, every ray of light held layers of meaning waiting to be deciphered. The narrator emphasizes that in the Veiled Realm, time itself seemed to bend, and every moment was steeped in both memory and promise. Along the winding trail, the group encountered relics of the past, a fallen statue of a long-forgotten deity, half swallowed by ivy and moss, a weathered sundial whose once proud face was now etched with cryptic symbols, and, in a small clearing, a circle of ancient stones that pulsed with a soft, otherworldly glow. Each artifact was a testament to the deep connection that the people of old had forged with the land, a connection that had, over the centuries, given birth to legends and miracles. Emily paused before one of the glowing stone circles, her eyes reflecting both wonder and determination. "This must be a marker," she said quietly. "A sign that we are on the right path. I can feel the energy. It's like the stones are speaking to us." Jason knelt beside her and placed his hand on one of the cool surfaces, feeling a gentle thrum of power beneath his fingertips. The sensation was both invigorating and humbling, a reminder that they were but small parts of a vast interconnected whole. Marcus, his gaze steady and wise, guided them further along the path. "We are nearing the threshold of the Veiled Realm," he announced softly. "Beyond here, the challenges will test not only our resolve, but our very understanding of what it means to be united with the ancient magic." His words were imbued with both caution and hope, a blend of wisdom earned through years of study and a belief in the potential for renewal. After what felt like an eternity of winding trails and quiet revelations, the trio reached a natural amphitheater carved into the side of a rocky outcrop. In its center stood an archway formed by two towering boulders, their surfaces inscribed with symbols that glowed with an inner fire. This was the fabled portal of echoing shadows, a threshold said to lead directly into the heart of the Veiled Realm. The portal pulsed rhythmically, as though alive with its own heartbeat. A fine mist swirled around the stones, and the air was thick with the scent of rain and ancient earth. The narrator explains that the portal was not simply an entryway but a living gatekeeper, a manifestation of the ancient covenant between light and darkness that had been maintained by the people of old. "Beyond this portal," Marcus said, his voice barely above a whisper, lies the realm where the celestial prism is hidden. But the journey will not be without peril. You must prove your worth and show that your hearts are true. Only then will the veiled realm open its secrets to you. With hearts pounding and eyes fixed on the glowing archway, Emily, Jason, and Marcus stepped forward together. Sunny, ever vigilant, trotted ahead, his golden coat reflecting the faint light of the portal. The moment they crossed the threshold, a surge of energy enveloped them. The world around them blurred and shifted, the familiar forest giving way to a realm where reality seemed fluid and time lost its rigid bounds. They emerged into an expanse of twilight, where the sky was painted in hues of deep indigo and shimmering silver. In this strange new world, the trees were taller and more majestic, their leaves sparkling as though dusted with stardust. The ground beneath their feet was soft and spongy, covered in a layer of luminous fungi and moss that glowed gently. In the dark, the atmosphere was imbued with a serene, almost sacred stillness, a silence that spoke of ancient secrets and the quiet promise of renewal. In the veiled realm, the rules of nature and magic intertwined in ways that defied conventional understanding. The trio soon discovered that the realm was a living, breathing entity that tested every visitor with trials designed to reveal their true nature. The first trial came swiftly, a labyrinthine grove where the path shifted and changed with each step, as if the forest itself were challenging them to find the way forward. Emily led the group through the twisting corridors of living vines and ethereal mists. The labyrinth seemed endless, each turn revealing new wonders and puzzles. Whispers, like echoes of forgotten memories, drifted through the air, and strange, fleeting silhouettes danced in the periphery of their vision. Jason, ever the pragmatist, noted that each challenge they encountered felt both physical and spiritual, a test of mind and heart combined. At a central clearing in the labyrinth, they encountered a crystalline pool that shimmered with myriad colors. Hovering above its surface was a delicate, translucent orb, a manifestation of the realm's will. In a voice that resonated like the chiming of distant bells, the orb spoke. Only by embracing both your light and your shadow may you traverse these trials. Share with me your greatest hope and your deepest fear, and in that truth, the path shall be revealed. The words struck a chord in each of them. One by one, they stepped forward. Emily, her voice trembling but resolute, admitted that her greatest hope was to restore the lost connection between her people and the ancient magic, a hope to heal not only her wounded heart, but also the spirit of Maple Ridge. Yet, she confessed that her deepest fear was to fail those who believed in her, to let the promise of renewal fade into oblivion. Jason spoke next, revealing that his hope was to document their journey so that future generations might learn from the wisdom of the past. His fear, however, was that in his quest for knowledge, he might lose the wonder that first compelled him to explore the mysteries of the world. Marcus, with the gravitas of a man who had seen much and endured more, admitted that his hope was for the resurgence of the ancient covenant, a revival of the sacred bond between man and nature. His fear was that the darkness that had crept into the world might one day overwhelm the light entirely. The crystalline orb pulsed brighter as each truth was spoken, its radiance intertwining with the hopes and fears laid bare before it. In that profound moment, the labyrinth's shifting paths stilled, and a single clear route emerged, lit by an inner glow that promised safe passage. The orb's voice resonated one final time. Your truth has opened the path. Walk with courage, and let the balance of your spirit guide you onward. With newfound determination, the group pressed forward along the illuminated path. The labyrinth gradually dissolved around them, and they emerged into a vast open valley, a place of surreal beauty where the boundaries between earth and sky seemed to vanish. The narrator notes that in the veiled realm, every step was a revelation, every breath a reminder that the past and present were inextricably linked in the eternal dance of creation and renewal. At the far end of the valley, nestled within a ring of towering ancient sequoias, the trio finally beheld their destination, the sanctuary of the celestial prism. The sanctuary was a natural amphitheater formed by colossal trees whose roots wove together to create a platform upon which a magnificent, crystalline structure stood. The celestial prism rose from a pedestal of living stone, its facets catching and refracting the ambient light into a dazzling spectrum of colors. It shone with the brilliance of 1,000 dawns, a beacon of hope and unity that encapsulated the very essence of the golden light. In awe, Emily approached the pedestal. The air around the prism was charged with an energy that resonated deep within her soul. The narrator explains that the prism was more than a relic of the past. It was the embodiment of the ancient covenant, a living symbol of the promise that, as long as hope endured, the light would never be extinguished. Marcus stepped forward, placing a weathered hand upon the cool surface of the pedestal. "The celestial prism is the key," he declared solemnly. "It is through its light that the ancient covenant may be renewed and the balance between the realms restored." Jason, whose eyes shimmered with both wonder and responsibility, retrieved his journal and began to carefully record every detail. The interplay of light and shadow upon the prism, the intricate carvings on its base, and the palpable energy that seemed to pulsate with the rhythm of life itself. As Emily reached out to touch the prism, a gentle hum filled the air, a sound like the beating of a giant heart. The crystalline structure responded to her presence. Its facets glowed ever brighter, casting prismatic beams of light across the sanctuary. In that luminous glow, visions of the past, present, and future merged into a single, transcendent moment. She saw her ancestors, their faces serene and resolute, guiding her with silent encouragement. She saw the struggles and triumphs of generations long past, all converging to reaffirm that the covenant was not lost. It had merely been waiting for the right moment to be rekindled. The prism's light enveloped Emily, and in that radiant embrace, she felt the deep, pulsing truth of the ancient magic surge through her veins. The narrator intones that this was a moment of awakening, a realization that the balance of nature was a living, dynamic force, capable of healing even the deepest wounds of time. With every fiber of her being, Emily understood that the journey to restore the ancient covenant was not merely a quest for power, but a pilgrimage of the heart, a renewal of faith in the enduring bond between humanity and the natural world. In the quiet aftermath of her communion with the celestial prism, Emily turned to her companions with eyes filled with resolve. "We have witnessed miracles today, ancient knowledge, the power of truth, and the promise of renewal," she said, softly. "It is our duty now to share this light with the world, to ensure that the covenant between man and nature is never forgotten again." Marcus nodded gravely. "The darkness that once threatened to engulf our world can be pushed back by the strength of our unity. We must carry this ancient wisdom back to Maple Ridge and beyond, so that others may learn to live in harmony with the magic of our past and the promise of our future." Jason, ever the chronicler, added, "I will document every step of our journey, every secret we have uncovered, so that the legacy of the ancient covenant lives on in our words and in the hearts of those who seek the truth." As the trio spoke, the celestial prism shone with an intensity that lit up the entire sanctuary. The light cascaded over the ancient sequoias, the living stone, and even over Sunny, whose golden coat now radiated with the very brilliance of the prism itself. The narrator reflects that in that moment, the old and new were united, a merging of past traditions with the hopes of a future reborn. The sanctuary itself seemed to celebrate the rebirth of the covenant. The crystalline beams of light intertwined with the natural elements of the veiled realm, creating a living tapestry of hope and renewal. Emily, Marcus, and Jason felt an overwhelming sense of purpose as they vowed to be the bearers of this ancient legacy. Their hearts were filled with the unyielding belief that even in the face of adversity, the golden light of renewal would forever guide them home. With the covenant renewed and the secrets of the celestial prism etched into their souls, the trio prepared to leave the sanctuary. The journey back through the veiled realm was no less magical than their arrival. The labyrinthine paths now seemed to welcome them, guided by the ever-present glow of the ancient magic. The forest of the veiled realm shimmered with a gentle luminescence, as if bidding farewell to its new champions. The passage back was filled with quiet moments of reflection. Every step they took resonated with the knowledge that they were not leaving behind a realm of magic, but carrying its essence within them. The spectral whispers of the forest, the rustle of luminous leaves, and the soft murmur of ancient trees all joined together in a silent ode to renewal. As they neared the portal through which they had entered, the air once again grew thick with anticipation. The portal of echoing shadows, still glowing faintly, now shimmered with a harmonious energy, acknowledging their safe passage. With one last glance back at the veiled realm, a place of dreams, memories, and ancient promises, they stepped through the portal and found themselves back in the familiar embrace of the forest near Maple Ridge. The journey back was filled with a serene calm. The storm that had gathered earlier had passed, leaving behind a clear sky streaked with the soft hues of dawn. The forest, now familiar yet forever changed by their experiences, seemed to welcome them home with open arms. Sonny trotted ahead, his presence a constant reminder of the miracle that had set this entire journey in motion. In the days that followed their return, news of the extraordinary expedition began to spread throughout Maple Ridge. Neighbors, once skeptical of ancient legends and forgotten lore, found themselves captivated by the stories of miracles, spectral guardians, and the luminous power of the celestial prism. Emily, Marcus, and Jason became the living embodiment of hope, a bridge between the lost wisdom of the past and the bright promise of a future reborn. In quiet moments, Emily would sit on the porch of her home, gazing at the horizon as the golden light of dawn bathed Maple Ridge in warmth and promise. She would recall the trials they had faced, the ancient songs that had echoed through the labyrinth, and the radiant vision of the celestial prism, a vision that had forever changed the course of her life. The memories of their journey became a beacon of inspiration, urging others to look beyond the ordinary and embrace the magic that lay hidden in the world. And so, with hearts united by the ancient covenant and eyes forever open to the wonders of the natural world, Emily, Jason, and Marcus resolved to carry forth the legacy of the Golden Light. They dedicated themselves to preserving the wisdom of the past, nurturing the fragile bonds between humanity and nature, and ensuring that the flame of hope would burn brightly for generations to come. The return journey from the Veiled Realm was a quiet, reflective pilgrimage. Emily, Jason, and Marcus, hearts still aglow with the wisdom of ancient magic, retraced their steps through the forest. Every rustle of leaves and every whisper of the wind echoed the lessons they had learned on their arduous quest. Sonny trotted at their side, his golden coat now a living emblem of hope and renewal, a steadfast companion who had witnessed miracles beyond mortal reckoning. As the familiar silhouette of Maple Ridge emerged from the trees, the trio could sense the transformation not only within themselves, but in the very fabric of their community. The town, once a quiet, unassuming place, now brimmed with a latent energy, a yearning for connection to the old ways, and a recognition that the ancient covenant could heal wounds that modern life had long neglected. In the days that followed, Emily, Jason, and Marcus set about sharing their extraordinary journey with the people of Maple Ridge. At town meetings held in the old community center, and in whispered conversations on quiet porches, the tale of the forbidden archives, the Veiled Realm, and the luminous celestial prism spread like wildfire. Neighbors, once skeptical, now listened with open hearts to the chronicles of ancient magic and the promise of renewal. Emily, with a calm resolve that belied her tender age, organized gatherings under the sprawling branches of the century-old oak in the town square. Here, beneath the soft glow of lanterns and the natural light of early dawn, she recounted every step of her journey, from the miraculous revival of Sonny to the secret rites performed under the guidance of Marcus and the sacred truths unveiled in the Veiled Realm. Her voice, steady and sincere, carried the magic of a promise renewed. Each of us, Emily explained to the rapt audience, carries within a spark of that ancient light. It is not the magic of far-off legends, but the living hope that flows through our veins. We have been chosen not to wield power for ourselves, but to restore balance, to mend the fractures of our community, and to remember that the old ways still hold the key to healing our world. Jason, whose journal had grown into a cherished testament of their odyssey, published a series of illustrated accounts that captured the wonder and mystery of their experiences. His careful renderings of the labyrinth, the glowing runes of the forbidden archives, and the radiant visage of the celestial prism enchanted the townspeople. Through his words and sketches, the legacy of Maple Ridge became a tapestry interwoven with myth and modernity, a bridge between generations. Marcus, the wise keeper of lore, led discussions on ancient rituals and the philosophy of balance between light and shadow. In his gentle yet compelling manner, he encouraged the community to embrace both their triumphs and their trials as parts of a whole. Our ancestors understood that to live fully, Marcus would say, we must honor the light that guides us and the darkness that teaches us. Only then can we be whole. Under their collective influence, Maple Ridge began to change. Community gardens sprang up where barren lots had once stood, and local artisans revived traditional crafts that honored the natural world. Evening gatherings and storytelling circles became common, where elders shared folklore and the young listened with wide-eyed wonder. The town, once steeped in quiet routine, was now alive with the vibrant pulse of ancient wisdom and modern hope. As autumn deepened, signaling the inevitable passage of time, the town planned a grand ceremony, a festival of renewal, to honor the ancient covenant and to mark the dawning of a new era. The festival was to be held in the clearing where the century-old oak stood sentinel, a natural amphitheater now imbued with the collective hopes of Maple Ridge. On the eve of the festival, the air was charged with anticipation. Lanterns of soft gold and warm amber were strung from tree to tree, their flickering light a gentle echo of the celestial prism's eternal glow. The aroma of freshly baked bread, spiced cider, and wildflowers filled the air, mingling with the sounds of laughter and the soft strains of a string quartet playing timeless melodies. Emily, dressed in a flowing gown of soft blue that contrasted beautifully with the rich, earthy hues of autumn, took her place at the center of the clearing. In her hand, she held a small, intricately carved box, a token from the forbidden archives that Marcus had entrusted to her as a symbol of the renewed covenant. As she opened the box, a beam of golden light shimmered outward, briefly illuminating the faces of the gathered townspeople and igniting a murmur of awe. With a clear, confident voice, Emily began to speak. Tonight, we stand at the crossroads of time, a moment where the past reaches out to the present, offering us guidance, healing, and hope. The light that revived our beloved Sonny is not confined to a single miracle. It is the very essence of our collective spirit. Let us remember that our strength lies not in the absence of darkness, but in our ability to find and nurture the light within ourselves. Her words were met with rapt silence, followed by a swell of applause and heartfelt cheers. Jason then stepped forward, his journal in hand, and read aloud excerpts from the ancient texts that spoke of unity, transformation, and the promise of rebirth. His voice, accompanied by the soft, resonant hum of the natural world, wove together the threads of myth and modern life into a single, luminous tapestry. Marcus, his eyes alight with gentle wisdom, then led the crowd in a series of simple yet profound rituals, chants passed down through generations that celebrated the cycles of nature, the rise and fall of the sun, and the enduring power of community. Neighbors joined hands, forming a circle around the great oak, their unity a living testament to the covenant that had been renewed through the trials of their shared journey. Sonny, ever the silent guardian, circled among the gathering, his presence, a warm reassurance that miracles, no matter how elusive, remained very real. His soft eyes and gentle wagging tail spoke of the unspoken bond between all living beings, a bond that, when honored, could bring forth light even in the deepest of shadows. As the night deepened, the festival reached its zenith. The golden light from the lanterns and the echo of ancient hymns mingled with the natural brilliance of the stars overhead, creating an atmosphere that was at once magical and profoundly moving. In that timeless moment, the people of Maple Ridge, bound together by shared history and the promise of a luminous future, felt the old magic rekindled in their hearts. They knew that as long as they held fast to the legacy of their ancestors, the light would never fade. In the days following the Festival of Renewal, the changes in Maple Ridge deepened further. The once dormant corners of the town blossomed with new energy. Elderly residents, inspired by the stories of yore, began to recount their own memories of ancient traditions. Young people, now filled with a sense of purpose and wonder, took to exploring the natural world around them, seeking out the hidden wonders that lay just beyond their backyards. Yet, amid this vibrant rebirth, there came a time for a final farewell, moment to honor the old world that had quietly receded as the new dawn of Maple Ridge took hold. In a small, intimate gathering held on the very day that the leaves turned a resplendent shade of crimson and gold, Marcus led a solemn procession to a secluded grove on the outskirts of town. Here, beneath a sky brushed with the soft hues of twilight, he placed a simple stone marker inscribed with the names of those who had come before and the sacred symbols of the ancient covenant. This marker, Marcus intoned, his voice carrying the gravity of centuries past, is not a monument to what has been lost, but a beacon for what is yet to come. It is a reminder that every ending is but the seed of a new beginning, that even in the twilight of one era, the promise of dawn awaits. The gathered townspeople bowed their heads in respectful silence. Emily, with tears of both sorrow and hope glistening in her eyes, gently pressed her hand to the stone. She whispered a quiet promise to honor the lessons of the past and to nurture the light of tomorrow. Jason, his journal now a cherished heirloom of their collective journey, vowed to keep the legacy alive through every word he would write, every story he would share. Sonny lay at Emily's feet during the ceremony, his warm presence a constant reminder of the miracle that had sparked this grand adventure, a living symbol of renewal that had bridged the gap between despair and hope, between darkness and light. In the quiet days that followed the farewell ceremony, Maple Ridge settled into a renewed rhythm. The town's transformation was not marked by grand declarations or monumental changes, but by the gentle, persistent heartbeat of a community rediscovering its soul. Gardens flourished in every available patch of earth, community centers buzzed with creative endeavors, and the wisdom of the old ways was integrated into daily life through music, art, storytelling, and simple acts of kindness. Emily continued to meet with neighbors in the town square, her voice now both a storyteller and a guide. She organized regular evening of lights gatherings, where families and friends would come together under the stars to share their hopes, dreams, and memories. It was during these quiet moments that the true magic of Maple Ridge revealed itself, a magic that was not confined to ancient rituals or distant legends, but lived in the everyday acts of love, compassion, and unity. Jason's chronicles of their journey were compiled into a beautifully bound book that soon found its place in every home and library. His vivid illustrations and heartfelt narratives served as both a historical record and a source of inspiration, reminding everyone that the strength of a community lay in its ability to honor its past while embracing the promise of the future. Marcus, ever the sage, continued to teach the ancient traditions in small classes held in the local community center. His lessons, enriched by both personal experience and the timeless lore of his ancestors, reached a new generation of curious minds. In every whispered chant and every shared story, the legacy of the ancient covenant was reborn, one gentle verse at a time. As autumn gave way to winter, the people of Maple Ridge gathered one final time in the town square for a grand celebration of the season, a festive culmination that blended modern cheer with time-honored rituals. Under a crisp, starlit sky, the community lit a towering bonfire that reached toward the heavens, its flames dancing in the cool night air as if echoing the eternal cycle of life and renewal. In that moment, as the fire crackled and the faces of friends and family glowed, in its light, Emily looked around and felt a profound sense of fulfillment. The journey that had begun with a single desperate plea for a beloved pet's revival had grown into a transformative odyssey, a journey that had healed old wounds, rekindled forgotten hopes, and united a community in the shared pursuit of a brighter tomorrow. Epilogue, a legacy, eternal. Years later, the legacy of the journey lived on in Maple Ridge. The town had transformed into a beacon of harmony and creativity, where the ancient covenant was honored not only in memory, but in every act of community and every innovation that celebrated nature's gifts. Children grew up listening to the tales of Emily, Jason, and Marcus, of a golden retriever named Sonny, whose revival had sparked a miracle that changed the course of a town's destiny. In quiet moments, one could still hear the soft murmur of ancient hymns carried by the wind through the trees, The old stone marker in the secluded grove stood as a testament to the enduring power of remembrance, a silent guardian of a promise made long ago and kept with every passing generation. And so, as the years blended into a tapestry of memories, the people of Maple Ridge never forgot the journey that had taught them that every ending was but a prelude to a new beginning. In the glow of each new dawn, in the laughter shared beneath the starlit sky, and in the gentle touch of a kind hand, the golden light shone on, eternal, unwavering, and a beacon of hope for all who dared to believe in the promise of renewal.